talk about the haunted house, which happened to be the last house we looked at.
Yes, yes. So the nice thing about, about me, I would say, is, we had all these appointments, right, already set up. And
Right.
so although I knew that first home was the one I wanted, I didn't want to be rude to the other homeowners, right? So we went on this little adventure in the neighborhood. And yes, the last house was quite interesting. I remember we walked in and it was getting later in the afternoon.
Right, it was starting
It
to
was
get
getting
dark.
dark, yes.
Right.
And we walk in.
There was no electricity, right?
Yes, so we try to flip switches and there's no electricity.
And it's vacant.
And it's vacant. And not only is it vacant, but it's bare. Like there's no carpet. It's just, the plywood on the floors, very, very bare. And even as we went up the stairs, no carpeting up the stairs. And I remember thinking, the house wasn't too bad, right? It had 2 master bedrooms kind of on opposite sides.
Right.
But then we walk into one of the masters and there's a closet and it's like this little weird half door. And we open this half door and at the end there's like writing on the wall. And I don't remember exactly what the name was, but it said, so-and-so was here. And I remember we looked at that and we're like, okay, we're out of here. Like that was horrible. It felt like somebody was living in that closet and they were like, let me out.
Yeah.
And
I have goosebumps thinking about it right now because
Yeah.
I just remember the door it's the half-size doors.
Yes.
And then you're like, what's in here? And then you see it, no running electricity. You're like, yeah, we're out of here.
Yeah,
and then
we're gone.
We were there probably 3-4 minutes and we're like done.
Yes.
Yeah, that's one of my better stories because it's one of those things where you just don't expect what you see a lot when you look at houses,
Right.
but you don't expect to see certain things, right?
Right.
So we start the process, we go through, and the challenge wasn't actually finding the house.
No, it wasn't.
It was after we got an escrow that was a challenge.
Yes. And so it was really interesting. You and I, worked through a different lender, right? Someone that you didn't have an established relationship with. And so there was some frustration because the lender wasn't getting back to me. And then I would ask you to call him and he wasn't getting back to you. And then there's a lot of mishaps along the way. And I remember too, there was an issue with my taxes,
Yes.
right? Here I am, a citizen of this country, pay my taxes, religiously every single year, and they can't find my tax return for one of the years that they need to verify. And as it turned out, this is how I found out that my tax person made a mistake and my taxes were rejected.
Yes.
And she did not tell me. And so here we are. I still remember having to take a day off work to go to San Marcos to file my taxes in person so that we could move forward with the loan process.
So we're in the middle of escrow. We already have a move-in date.
Yes.
We already have everything lined up. And all of a sudden, there's no taxes. And you are freaking out.
I am.
So that was the first ledge. Maybe this isn't going to work out. This is going to blow up the thing. Luckily, we explained to the listing agent. The listing agent gave us a little more time. So it was fine on that end. What I remember was when we started going through all this, at the end, that lack of communication with that lender started to really get under your skin.
Yes.
And I remember I was at a conference in Sacramento. I'll never forget. And I get a text message. And you don't let me have it. You just let me know that I need to deal with this guy because you're about to go off on him.
Right.
And I just remember thinking, I call the guy up and I don't remember his name. And I go, look, I don't know what happened, but this better be taken care of or you're going to have a bigger problem on your hands. I just remember thinking that.
Yeah.
I just remember your frustration. So normally we figure out those problems in the front end. For you, all the problems came in on the back end.
They did. And I was so grateful to be able to just speak to you so candidly and honestly and say, look, I really need your help here because I'm really getting very frustrated, especially with my personality of really wanting things to be, very defined and getting answers. And so I needed you.
I became the problem solver.
Yes.
I was the calm problem solver.
Yes, you were.
You were the angry, soon-to-be homeowner.
Yes, that was me. That was me.
And you know what? But it all worked out. At the end, we solved those problems. There was a few, you mentioned earlier the ledges. There was a few times where your frustration where I thought, at least on 2 occasions, this isn't going to go through.
Right.
This isn't going to go through. She already knows what's on the market. There's no other houses she likes. This might just blow up and we might have to go back to square one and I have no idea where this is going to go. Did you ever feel like, you know what, this isn't going to happen? Maybe this just wasn't meant to be?
No, I did. I did. I definitely felt that way. Just at the beginning of the process, when that first ledge, I was just like, maybe this isn't meant to be. You know, sometimes you kind of think to yourself like, am I trying too hard? Like, you know, is the universe trying to tell me something else? So I did feel that way at one point.
We say that all the time. It's meant to be, it's meant to be. In this situation, it was caused by something that had nothing to do with you. I mean, it had to do with you, but you didn't know that problem existed.
Exactly.
And unfortunately, our beautiful IRS does not work very quickly. And so that delayed everything else. But at the end, was it all worth it?
Definitely.
Would you have kicked yourself if we would have canceled and said, you know what, just wasn't meant to be? Now where you're at right now with the equity you have, the home you live, because you have a beautiful home with a pool on a cul-de-sac.
Right. No, I definitely would have kicked myself. I'm sure I would have thought like, you know, shoulda, coulda, woulda, right?
Do you have any advice that you would give to someone who is in your situation that they're thinking of buying, and it's not going to go perfect?
Right.
And even that wasn't your perfect house. It was good enough, but you still had to do work on it.
Right.
There were still things you had to do. For years, you worked on your home. Is there any advice you'd give that one person that's like, yeah, but it sounds like it's too difficult?
Yeah, you know, I think really you have to educate yourself, right? Like be smart about, you know, if you think you're ready to buy, look things up, find an agent that can help you get educated about what's available to you, what you qualify for. I think that's really important, is knowing, you know, how much house you can afford. That's one of the biggest things. I think sometimes we think, oh, you know what, I can afford this much because I make this much money, but there's so many other factors that go into it. And so I think be prepared for what the financial impact is going to be. I would say that's your first, that should be your first goal. And then after that, find somebody that you trust, right? So if you have a lender, if you have an agent that can refer you to a lender, you know, feel them out. I mean, the same way that I interviewed you basically when we met the first time, you know, it was because I wanted to make sure that we were the right fit and that I was comfortable with you, and that I felt like you were going to take care of me. That was really important.